All right. Well, welcome you guys. This is flipping the script channel. Thank you to our audiences for just listening to the stories that I have invited in the past. And today we're going to have an interview. I'm going to have an interview and listen from the stories of Jessica, and her last name is Razana Drakoto. I hope I
Yes.
pronounced it right. Yes, yes, yes. And Jessica, I'm going to give you a chance to just go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're calling from, some of the camps and foundations that you've started or co-leading. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica, and I am from Madagascar. I was born and raised here. I moved to the US when I was 14 to continue my studies. And 10 years later, I came back to start my own business. I currently am the founder of Raffia Madagascar.
Nice. Oops, we're experiencing a little bit of a lagging, I think.
In Muramanga, in the town where I'm from. And we make interior design products, so such as rugs, tapestries, wall coverings, frames, and you're more than welcome to check us out on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also one of the co-founders of Camp Via Banana. It's a youth leadership camp that we started about 4 years, 5 years ago now,
Mm-hmm.
here in Madagascar. So every summer, which is our technically our winter in the southern atmosphere, uh, we we bring volunteers together, staff, and about 30 students, high school students between 14 to 18 years old, to just be and learn from each other and grow together as a person at camp. And this is the second year that we haven't hosted camp due to COVID, but we're hoping
Mm-hmm.
to continue again, pick up the activities again next year. So that's a little bit about me. I'm now back in Madagascar for the past 2 years since COVID hit. I'm hoping to come visit the US very, very soon.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
think we're doing well with our um wait, are we doing well with our cases now? I can never tell. It's always like
Up and
up and
down.
down. Yes,
Mhm.
very fluctuating. Um, wow. So I didn't know you moved here when you were 14 years old, and then 10 years later you came back. So you are practically you said you were born and raised in Madagascar, but then your
Mhm.
teenage years and your young adult years are in the US.
Right. Hmm.
Which part of the US did you first move?
I first moved in Seattle in 2011.
Okay, so how was that experience for you? So you were coming in as a high school student, is it? Okay.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, how was
I
that experience?
I arrived there with my dad. He stayed in a host family. I went to a boarding school right downtown Seattle. In
Mhm.
a very small private school called Northwest School,
Mhm.
uh, and it was very unexpected, I would say, because I moved to the US because I wanted to be immersed in the culture.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize that being in an ESL class meant that I would be with foreign students. And so this
Right.
was kind of a shock for me because I thought I was going to be in class with Americans and I would practice
Mm.
my
Right.
English and all of that. But I had classmates from China, South Korea, yeah, all over Asia, I would say.
Mhm.
And that was kind of a harder transition for me because I thought, okay, I could have maybe stayed home and it would have probably still be the same experience in the classroom. Um,
Right.
yeah, but I think what really helped me was I was able to really connect with um, the American students or the native speakers, I'd say. And they
Mhm.
were also really interested in my story and where I come from. They and I remember this one girl, she loves lemurs, and she would always come and find me, and she would always want to talk about lemurs of Madagascar. So
Yeah.
that really helped me, because people
Uh-huh.
were so interested in getting to know more about Madagascar and where it was and
Mm.
the culture. I
Mhm.
think people were had more knowledge about the Asian culture, versus what it's like, to
Mm.
come from Madagascar.
Right.
It was easier in that way to make friends. So
Mm.
in theater, people would always come and approach me and ask questions and help me practice my English.
Right.
So those are some of the tips that really helped me with the transition, I would say.
Right.
Um, Another thing I would say was, getting directions was really challenging too, because in Madagascar, when
I
you
feel the
ask,
same way when I move here.
oh, in Madagascar, when you ask for directions, people would tell you, oh, it's that building right next to the, post office
Yeah.
across from the big tree. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was used to. And when
Yeah.
I got to Seattle, people would say it's on Third and Pine. You turn left, and in my mind, I'm trying to imagine, okay, where is Third and Pine, and what is he telling me? Why is he naming streets? Um, yeah, so for us. I remember the first week that my dad and I got there, we would be so scared going downtown. We thought we wouldn't know how to get back to the school, how to get back to where we need to go. But I think at the end of the day, it just really took courage and just
Mm.
really remembering where we were going and not being my biggest transitions coming from Madagascar, moving to Seattle, I'd say.
Mhm. So, but
Mhm.
you mainly for the 10 years that you live in the US, it's mainly in Seattle, is it?
I lost you for a little bit. It's been mainly, what did you say? Sorry.
Oh yeah. So for the 10 years that you were in the US, is it
Mhm.
mainly in Seattle or
Um,
did you move
I went
around in other states?
mainly in Washington. I went to school mainly in Seattle for high school,
Mm-hmm.
and for college, I was in Spokane at Whitworth.
Mm-hmm.
For my bachelor's, I studied there, graduated in 2016 with my bachelor's in international business. Then
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a year at Jubilee Ridge, which is in Bellevue.
Mm-hmm.
And then I continued with my master's in international community development at Northwest University, which is in Kirkland. So during those years, I was always in the Washington area.
Right, right.
Mhm.
So I think that was really helpful when you said that you were surprised, when you move in and somehow all the foreign students or international students were grouped together,
Mhm.
expecting you're coming in expecting to be immersed in the culture and learn the language, and that here you're kind of grouped together and all internationals in one. I think that's a very good point because I'm also, and part of my dissertation I was talking about how international students, when they come in, they're like they're rigid, it's a cultural migration pattern wherein
Mhm.
you group them together by ethnicity or sometimes as an international students.
Right.
And at least in some studies they said that it contributes more to the marginalization. It's not helpful for not just the foreign students, but also the native students.
Mhm.
you know. Um,
Mhm.
okay, so I love that your experiences when you were in high school somewhat positive, about the places, the about Madagascar, and you said you're one of the ways that actually somehow bridge the friendship is the locals' interest in your, in your
Mhm.
culture and in your country. Have you had any awkward situations or negative um experiences that somehow, like that's like it's a stereotype that, oh, you're from Madagascar, and then they just throw at you some of the misconceptions that they have about um your country.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a negative experience. I think it's more the generalization that people who come from Madagascar, they have like pet lemurs, we live in jungles, but
Mm-hmm.
actually we do have cities too. And most of people refer to the movie when I introduce myself and I tell myself I come from Madagascar, and people would start singing, "I like to move it." um, especially when we went to Disneyland. There was a time with my family. We went to
Mm,
California, and we would just be talking to people there, and they
mm,
would immediately refer to the movie Madagascar. And I
mm,
think that's usually the general stereotype. What people know about Madagascar is the King Jillian. That's what people know. And I
mm-hmm,
don't blame them, because Madagascar is just so far out
mm-hmm,
of the US. So they don't necessarily have any excuses or reasons to actually know or learn about Madagascar.
mm-hmm,
Some people even asked me where Madagascar was located, because they just didn't know that it's just right off of the east coast of Africa, that big island.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I wouldn't necessarily say awkward situations. I think it just took me a while to get sarcasm as part of
mm.
the US culture, but I think I picked it up. It's kind of personal at first, but I think
Yeah.
yeah, I got used to it. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
that's one of
maybe
the humor, is very
mhm,
different.
yes, and we kind of use it at home now. I think we're kind of pretty much very Americanized at home. My sister went to the
Mm,
States too. My brother goes to the American school. My parents, having all three kids going through the American system, they kind of have to learn the culture too.
right,
Um,
right.
yeah. Hmm.
Huh, that's interesting. So now you guys were back in Madagascar, this so the people, the community kind of see you as, oh, you're also westernized or
Hmm. Hmm.
Americanized.
Yes, and some of my American friends who still live here in Madagascar, when we hang out,
Mm,
they would make comments sometimes and say, "Jessica, you are more American than I am right now." And yeah, so it's funny to hear them say that sometimes, because they've lived
mhm,
here sometimes longer than I I have lived in the States, and that's how they
mm,
feel. Yeah,
mhm.
and my boyfriend would also say, "That is very American of you," when I want certain things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right. So I'm gonna end with this last, question. What are some of the things that you're proud of about, about your country? Wait, I'm saying this correctly, right? Madagascar is a country.
Hmm.
Okay.
It is. Mhm.
What are the things that you're proud of so that people who hasn't, who, like you mentioned, like it's kind of like a far out, but at least that would give them an idea. So when they meet someone who's from Madagascar, like, oh, okay, I know that you guys have amazing beaches. I don't know. You can tell us, or give us some good tips. What are the things that you're proud of about your country, and then to end it with, some of the links that they can visit, or your website, if they want to have a chance to be part of that camp that you're doing. You're probably mostly going to open in the next year or two. That would give the people some chance to like visit, right? And then be part of your camp.
Mhm. I would say something that I'm really proud of in my culture is how collectivist we are.
Mm-hmm.
Living in the States, it really made me realize how individualistic the culture is, and how to do everything on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm also proud of that culture because it really helped me be very independent. At the same time, I really appreciate the collectivism culture here in Madagascar, because you feel like you're never alone when you go through things or through, hardships or things that you're happy about. You always have people around you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, one of my uncles got sick, and there were 10, 20 family members who were always there supporting one another.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I'm really thankful for that,
Mm-hmm.
for my culture. I would also say, I think I'm really thankful for the nature here. I love nature, and I
Mm-hmm.
love the simplicity of life, and certain parts of the country really reminds me of the beautiful Pacific Northwest, just being in nature and in the woods. And I really value that here too.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate being just a couple of hours away from the beach, and
What?
actually warm. Yes, actually nice beach that I could, that we could swim.
Warm
Yeah,
water, right?
yes, warm water.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
hmm the scenery, just being able to travel around and having so many different sceneries when I go south, east,
Mm-hmm.
west, north, depending on the activity that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I love our food too. So I think that's also something that I'm really thankful for, and which I really hope that I can share more about the food on social media, or
Yeah.
however else I could share that part of our culture so
Yeah,
that people
please do.
learn about it. Yeah. I would say those are some of the things that I really appreciate about my country.
Awesome.
And also my family is here, so that's what's keeping me here too.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
some of the good conversational topics is ask about family, community, the amazing beaches, and then the food.
Right. hmm
Awesome. Those are safe, good conversation starters. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Is there any, okay, tell us about the projects. If you want to invite them to support any of the projects that you have, camps, future events, please go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. I invite you to check us out on social media. Camp is called Camp Fi Havanana, like banana, but Havanana.
Mhm.
And Raffia Madagascar is also on social media. If you are looking to remodeling your home or getting a new rug for your place,
Yeah.
I'm sure we can make you something, and we will ship it to your house, your place. Um,
Nice.
if you have any questions, I'm pretty sure we'll find a way to connect each other. If you have any other questions, if you just want more information, I'm happy to provide all of that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Jessica. That was really insightful and enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you
Awesome.
for having me.